The countdown to camp is on, and today we're talking about the most important thing from the offseason. Yes, sir, it is another shooting episode, the shooters for the Orlando Magic and what they bring today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is September 18th, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. Credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, we're going to get into the shooters. We're going to talk about Desmond Bane, Jalen Suggs, and Tyus Jones, how the Magic's relationship to three-point shooting will change for the better. I promise this time. We'll get to what those three bring to the table today on Locked On Magic. Before we do any of that, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can be part of our Orlando Magic Dailies by listening 5 days a week. We go Monday through Friday, guaranteed, mostly guaranteed. And we'll hit the weekends once the games start and start talking after games. So you got that to look forward to. Get in the habit now. That's what training camp is for. You can subscribe wherever you download podcasts, all part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Undoubtedly, the Orlando Magic have a missing piece. The Orlando Magic have had a missing piece for a long time. A thing that they just needed to add to their lineup, a thing that they needed to add to make this thing work. And no matter how many times the Magic have tried to find it, they just haven't been able to find it. It's shooting. It's putting the ball in the basket. It's creating space for their best players to operate. The Orlando Magic have struggled so much on offense. And all of it, or a lot of it, can just be traced down to shooting. They have an elite driver and scorer in Paolo Banchero. They have another elite driver and scorer in Franz Wagner. But their struggles to create good shots comes down to they don't trust their teammates to make open looks. They can't generate open threes. They can't stretch defenses and put them into compromising positions. It just always feels like the Magic are banging their head against the wall. And again, Paolo and Franz are good enough to put some pretty big dents into that wall. But that's obviously not enough. The Magic need to make three-pointers. They're coming off a season where they had the worst three-point shooting season the NBA has seen in the last decade. 10 years, at least. And they were just simply not good enough or not a big enough threat from three to be anything more than a playoff team, than just making the field. That's obviously not where the Magic want to be. Obviously, the Magic want to go deeper. They want to do more. They want to take that next step. And so obviously we're here sitting and talking and dreaming and thinking about a championship as close as the Magic have been since Dwight Howard was here. We are thinking and talking about this stuff openly because of the trade they made in June. When we were all picking out the shooters that we thought the Magic would want, we thought they'd have to compromise their values to get that shooting. And instead, the Magic delivered a home run acquisition. They got Desmond Bane. They got a player who fits their defensive identity. They got a player who is a capable, efficient, and excellent three-point shooter. They got a player that they hope can relieve the pressure. Relieve the tension on their top players, on their top guys. It cannot be understated how much Desmond Bane should change this Magic team. Just on its face, Desmond Bane is a far more capable shooter, a far more willing and hunting three-point shot shooter than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who, yes, disappointing last year, had a down year. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Desmond Bane is someone who is on the floor to be a constant three-point threat. From the moment he crosses half court, defenses have to be worried about that pull-up shot, where he is one of the best pull-up three-point shooters in the league. Last year, he shot 37.8% on 3.3 pull-ups per game. He was 7th in three-point field goal percentage among players who took at least 3 pull-up three-point attempts per game. He shot 42.3% on 2.6 catch-and-shoot three-pointers. This is not just a player who's going to take those kinds of threes, but take a lot of them. Averaging 6 last year, and that was down. He's averaged 7 to 8. He will have games where he takes 10, 11, 12 threes, and he's going to make 5 or 6 of them. To say the least, the threat of Desmond Bane shooting should not only create the spacing that the Magic so desperately need, it should give the Magic the tools that they need to take an even bigger step. It should give them the tools to have a functioning offense, because they have a player who is a constant three-point threat. More than that, and I think this is the bigger thing, more than that, Desmond Bane relieves pressure everywhere. It's not just that he has gravity, that defenses have to respect his three-point shot, that they can't fade off of him. They can't linger off of him. It's that because Bane shoots at such high volume, the Magic don't need Franz Wagner to shoot 5 threes a game. It's one, if Franz is going to shoot, let's be generous and say he's going to make 33% of his threes. If he's shooting 5 or 6 of them, yeah, that's 1 or 2 threes, but that's a lot of shots. If he's taken 3 and he's 1 for 3, occasionally he has a 2 for 3 game, 2 for 4 game, 2 for 5 game. That allows Franz to focus on things that he's good at. The Magic don't need Franz and Paolo to shoot 5 threes per game, although I'm sure Paolo will still shoot 4 or 5 threes per game. I'm honestly sure Franz will still shoot 4 or 5 threes per game. But the quality of those looks should improve, because Desmond Bane is an option. Because Desmond Bane is a player that defenses have to respect. And that's the difference. That's going to be the difference that Desmond Bane brings. And on top of that, he averaged 5 assists per game over the last 2 seasons. He is someone that can make plays off the dribble, can run some pick and roll. He's not just exclusively a three-point shooter, but he's always a threat to shoot. And that's something the Magic have not had really since Terrence Ross. And Terrence Ross was a heater. He was just, he was putting up volume, had bad games, had good games. Team often went how those went. Product of how that team was constructed. But Bane is a much different kind of shooter. And again, it should be transformational for this Magic team. It should be something that changes how the Magic operate, how the Magic function, and how the Magic get the job done this season. If you watched a Paolo Banchero video and he started this documentary series ahead of the season, he posted or he shared his reaction to the Desmond Bane trade. And immediately he was miming passing to Bane in the corner and passing Bane for 3. Everybody knows the power that Desmond Bane can have for this team. And for a team that has not had reliable volume shooting in a very long time, Terrence Ross, again, was like a 32, 33% three-point shooter. It's just a threat of him going off is what fed him. The threat of what Desmond Bane is gives the Magic legitimate shooting and legitimate spacing. It's going to be on the Magic to use that. But if there's one thing Orlando learned from last year, because Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had the same reputation, if not on the same volume, certainly on lower volume, if there's one thing the Magic learned, it doesn't take just one shooter. Why the Magic have the answer there too, and why Jalen Suggs is now in the perfect role. We'll get to him coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by friends over at Monarch Money. Most people cannot name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Maximize investments, increase your savings rates, easily review your finances with your partner or financial advisor. Keeping a clear view of your financial health week to week and long term is the way to take control of your finances. Knowledge is power, and organization is knowledge. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNBA. I have been screaming this from the top of my lungs all off season. And so I'm going to scream it again. Not scream it because, your earbuds are in, you're listening somewhere. You probably want me to talk a little quieter and give you some ASMR here. But I have been screaming this all off season long. Jalen Suggs is due for a fantastic season. Jalen Suggs is due to be the kind of player the Magic have always needed him to be. Not just the head of the snake on defense, not just the guy that's going to lead the team in their chosen identity and the identity that they have. Not just that kind of player. He is someone that I think has a major contribution to give on offense and is set to make that major contribution, is set to be a true difference maker on that end. Jalen Suggs, to me, is the ultimate 3-and-D shooter. And I know if you look at his stats, it doesn't suggest that. Shot only 31 or 32% from three, but in reality, Jalen Suggs has been miscast. The majority of his minutes last year, he was the second option behind Franz Wagner. For a good chunk of his minutes and the few games that he played last year, he played 36 games last year, about 36 games last year. I don't have the stats directly in front of me. But for most of last season, he had to play a starring role. He had to be a main creator. And while I think Suggs is capable of doing these things, doing them on that team with so few shooting options around him, with so few heavy options around him, with all the injuries the Magic faced, that's not his job. That's not where he is strongest. Where Jalen Suggs is actually strongest is how he played in the first 5 games of the season. When he was shooting nearly 50% from three. When he was shooting 41, 42, 43% on catch and shoot threes at volume, 6 or 7 attempts per game. Following up a 39% three-point shooting season on catch and shoot threes in 2024. To me, Jalen Suggs is indeed the answer for the Orlando Magic. He is someone that gives them a second volume shooter. The Magic don't need Paolo and Franz to take as many threes this year. Because if Desmond Bane is going, he's going to take 6, 7, 8 threes. If Jalen Suggs is going, he's going to take 6, 7, 8 threes. The Magic don't need Paolo and Franz to take those shots anymore. Now, they're going to have to. They're going to have to make a few. That has to be part of their arsenal. I'm not saying that. But they don't have to be the team leaders in three-point shooting anymore, which they were last year. They averaged the most threes on the team, if I'm not mistaken. It was Suggs, Paolo, and Franz were the top 3 guys. And knowing that Paolo and Franz had the ball in their hands a lot, very few of those were catch and shoots. They were all pull-ups. They're all low percentage threes. Jalen Suggs had to take a lot of those low percentage threes last year. And I think that's why his percentage depressed, because I think he has taken a serious leap in his three-point shooting. But as I argued a few weeks ago, putting Jalen Suggs in this 4th man role, this 3rd man role, secondary attacker role, gives him more of these three-point shots that he has already proven he can hit at a pretty healthy rate, that he's already proven he can make at a strong, strong level. And that is a reason to be excited for Jalen Suggs. And that is a reason why why it is safe to assume the Magic will get out of the bottom 10 in offensive rating. I think that is a shoo-in. It's a reason why it might be possible for the Magic to be even better on offense than anybody anticipates. Because I think Suggs is a much better shooter than he's shown. I think the Suggs stuff, I think the stuff that we saw early in the season last year is real. Now, of course, asterisk time. A, Jalen Suggs got to get through the season healthy. He's had only one healthy season in his career. But B, we don't know what his status is coming off the knee injury. The knee injury was a little more complex than they let on. It was not just a scope. It was a mosaic-plasty. And it was not a major knee injury. It wasn't like he tore his ACL or anything, but it's a little more complicated. It's a little bit more tricky. It's probably something the Magic will be watching and managing. Certainly early in the season. Jalen Suggs ain't going to change the way he plays. He's going to still go all out, but now the Magic don't need him to give as much on offense. They can simplify his offensive role a little bit more. So maybe fewer of those wild drives to the basket that might further expose him to injury. Although, again, not asking Jalen Suggs to change who he is. But what you are asking him to change is his focus. No longer does he need to initiate and create, although he'll still have that in part of his diet. Now, most of his shots are going to be kickouts from Paolo, kickouts from Franz, kickouts from Dez. Now he's going to be attacking rotating defenses more, which should open up lanes, especially if he is the big three-point threat that I think he can be. And more than that, having two potentially elite, high-volume catch-and-shoot three-point shooters suddenly makes the Magic offense a ton more dangerous. Suddenly makes the Magic offense look a lot different. Shooting unlocks everything. It opens the floor up because now defenses have to make decisions, have to make sacrifices, have to decide, are we going to double Paolo and leave someone we can't afford to leave open? Can't really leave Franz open on the perimeter either, even though he's not a great three-point shooter, because if you're late on a closeout, he's going to attack it and get downhill, and he's unstoppable when he gets downhill. He's going to make the right decision. He's going to get to the basket. He's going to finish, or he's going to kick out to an open shooter that you did leave open that you didn't want to leave open. The point of all of this is the Magic really do have four solid perimeter offensive options in their starting lineup now. That's why Desmond Bane is so big, because once it was clear Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was going to struggle to shoot, he doesn't do anything else. That's the difference between him and Desmond Bane at the end of the day, is Bane will do something else. Bane does not need to take a ton of threes to be effective. He does, and he's good at it, but he can do other things. So can Jalen Suggs, and if Jalen Suggs is an excellent three-point shooter, that only makes it more difficult. It's not rocket science to say that shooting just unlocks everything. It has been the thing that has kept the Magic offense under lock and key for so long. Now, though, they're trying to open the door. Now they are trying to unleash this monster, this huge thing. Now they're trying to get where they're going and get this thing moving. And the Magic's three-point shooting from their starting lineup looks ready to do so. And it's the same deal with Tyus Jones. Why he, too, is now in the perfect role for him, coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by friends over at OpenPhone. Sorry, I had to pull up the wrong thing there. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had an urgent need, maybe for a plumber or service provider. If the first person didn't answer the phone, did you wait? You probably didn't. You moved on. That's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or computer. OpenPhone lets you manage business calls and texts from a single app. Their shared inbox feature is a true game changer, so your team can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat. And their AI agent handles after-hours calls, answers common questions, and captures leads so you never miss a customer. OpenPhone is offering my listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's OpenPhone, OpenPhone.com/LockedOnNBA. OpenPhone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. Again, that's OpenPhone.com/LockedOnNBA. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Tyus Jones does not fit the Magic's type. Just plain and simple. He's a smallish guard, not known for his defense. He is not a typical Orlando Magic player. Like, his IQ is really high. He's a low mistake player. He's not going to turn the ball over a ton. The Magic need a point guard. He's a good floor spacer, a good guy who's going to settle the team. But he's not a Magic player. And there's always a bit of skepticism that the Magic are actually interested in because, A, they had a chance at him last year and opted not to go for him, and go for him when a lot of Magic fans thought they should throw some money at him. This year, they went for him. They moved the money around. They got it done. They got him. And look, Tyus Jones is going to come off the bench. I think last year and really his time in Washington kind of proved that he is not as effective as a starter. Like, he'll put up numbers, but the defensive shortcomings become real. And this is why Tyus Jones might be in the perfect spot. Because if you look at the players he's most likely to play a lot of minutes with, they can help cover his weaknesses. They can help take advantage of his assisting and his passing while covering up for his defensive shortcomings. In all likelihood, he's coming off the bench, playing alongside Jalen Suggs, Anthony Black in the backcourt. He'll have Jonathan Isaac behind him. He has a strong defense around him. He was fine in Memphis with a strong defense around him. The Magic are different. Great defensive team that needs organization and leadership. And that's what Tyus Jones is going to give them. And so it's a nice little trade-off. Tyus Jones gives the shooting, 41% from three in each of the last two seasons. Gives them the playmaking, the lower turnovers, which is a huge problem quietly a huge problem for Orlando. The Magic are able to give their guards their perfect role, their ideal role to get the most out of them. And what the Magic hope to get in return is, yes, the low turnovers, but the shooting. We're talking about the shooters today. It's all about shooting. And Tyus Jones is one of the best three-point shooters in the league. Again, 41% each of the last two seasons. He has been more than solid. Jones may not have the size, but he does everything else the way the Magic want him to do it. And so if he gets back into a winning environment, gets back into a bench role, gets surrounded by strong defenders, there's no reason to think that the Magic cannot maximize him, cannot get a lot out of him. But in the playoffs, there will be a question, no doubt. But let's get there first. And what the Magic need from Tyus Jones is to be Tyus Jones. They'll cover for him. They'll help him be in a spot to succeed defensively. But at the end of the day, the Magic get to put him in a role set for him to succeed. And that's the exciting part about how this team is constructed. Now, there are questions, no doubt. We got to see guys make shots. Like I'm with you guys. We're a little scarred. Got to see guys make shots. But the Magic have significantly better shooting and have shooting in the right places. Desmond Bane is such an excellent shooter in such a different way than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Jalen Suggs has shown us that he can be an excellent shooter. Tyus Jones is an excellent shooter. If the Magic get even moderate bumps from Paolo Banchero, get Franz Wagner back into the 30s. Like, I'd love to see Franz shoot 33%. I think that would be huge for him. Anthony Black improving his three-point shot, getting up to, again, 34% would be awesome for him. Seeing Wendell Carter bounce back, seeing Jonathan Isaac bounce back. Maybe there isn't as much faith in that. But the Magic's relationship with shooting is so much different now. And that's why there should be so much more optimism about the way the Magic are going to play. Because now they have volume. They have guys who are specialists, who can do more than just be specialists, but are specialists. And if you get them open shots, they will make defenses pay. And that's what has to happen. It's not rocket science. Pass the open man, make the open shot. Not rocket science here. But with all the attention that Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner ultimately always get, having reliable elite shooting around them puts the defense in these compromised positions. The way defense works in the NBA now is offenses make defenses decide what they're going to give up. That's the truth of it. Offenses are just so advanced and so far ahead that really it's defenses have to decide, we're going to give this up and we're going to live with it. And if they beat us doing that, they beat us doing that. Orlando's whole defensive strategy is, we're going to take away three-point shots and we're going to make you feel us if you go in the paint. You're not going to want to go in the paint because we're going to bump and hit you. There's nothing wrong with that. They'll take the fouls. They don't mind getting fouls. The Magic on offense don't make teams make those decisions. They know we got to take away Paolo and Franz. If we take away the drive, if we take away the paint, this Magic team's not going to make us pay. So what happens now? What happens now that, we're going to take away Paolo's drive, we're going to collapse three around him? Well, now we just left Jalen Suggs open for three. Now we just left Desmond Bane open for three. Now we've left Suggs open. He drives, gets the defense in rotation, kicks it to Bane in the corner. He makes the three. Oh, now we've, stopped Paolo. He kicks out to Tyus Jones. He drains a three. Those are the questions defenses have to ask themselves now when they face the Magic. And early in the season last year, they were asking those questions about Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was effective even though he was not making shots. But once the league caught wind that he's not making shots, they changed that bet, and the Magic's offense struggled. And look, Paolo and Franz are good enough that if you decide, hey, we're just going to try and stop those guys, they're still going to get theirs. That's why they're the stars. That's why they're so good. But the goal now is with the shooting is to make their jobs easier. So that they're not worn down at the end of games, at the end of seasons, so that they can get an easy shot here and there. And that's what the Magic shooting has done. This should be a transformational season for shooting. This should be a season with incredible changes to the Magic's offense just based on the shooting improvement. And whether it pans out or not, well, that's what the countdown to camp is for. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. You can find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the fun places you download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Be sure to check out the Locked On NBA Top 100. It is here, voted on by the NBA hosts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Our Top 100 was formed by experts that cover these teams and players every day. Find the full list on Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't miss my reaction. It was last Wednesday was my reaction to the full list. Last Tuesday, we spoke with Kuka Heel of Locked On Pistons to break down the Paolo versus Cade debate. Check that out in our archives, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to break down the centers, all three of them, talk a little bit about what we could get from them as our countdown to camp continues. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.